on this day, the 9th of January, 1918, the Battle of Bear Valley took place. The battle took place between the 10th Cavalry Regiment of the United States Army, known as the Buffalo Soldiers, and 30 armed Yaqui Indians. It took place in what was then the Arizona Territory, and in many ways could be described more as a small skirmish rather than a battle, with only one Yaqui Indian being killed. However, it's notable because this was the last time the United States Army battled Indians in the United States. By 1918, the Yaqui had been at war with the Mexican government. Mexico at this time was a bit of a mess, civil war, revolution, and one of the things that was happening was that the Yaqui had risen up, trying to claim their own state near the coast of the Gulf of California. Many had fled into the United States because of this conflict, and they'd gone into a place called Arizona, the Arizona Territory, where they would work on citrus groves and send them, well, they wouldn't send the money home. What they would do is they would buy weapons with the money they'd made and smuggle them across the Mexican border to fight the Mexicans. A very honest kind of terrorist group, you'd say. Most modern ones, they go around and sell drugs or steal money from banks, and that's how they get their weapons. But these guys, they worked hard, made their money, and bought their weapons. Now the Mexicans weren't very happy with this, so they were saying, a lot of the weapons that we're being killed with are coming from the United States. Can you stop this? Also, ranchers had reported seeing slaughtered cattle on their ranches. They had suspected that the Yaqui had come through and killed them when they were going back and forth over the border. Others had also reported seeing bands of heavily armed Yaqui Indians streaming towards the Mexican border. And so the army began to increase its patrols in that area, south of Tucson, along that border. The 10th Cavalry, the Buffalo Soldiers, were the ones that ended up finding the Yaquis. The battle itself was very short, and within a few minutes the Yaquis had actually surrendered. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing Yaqui correctly. It looks like it. Yaquis, Yaquis. Anyway, so once the skirmish had ended, it turned out that the commander of the Yaquis had actually been shot. He ended up dying. But that was one out of all the men there. Now, afterwards, they didn't really know what to do with them, so they ended up bringing them back to their base. The accounts of the soldiers that worked with and around the Yaquis is that they were very good workers. Whilst at the base, they cleaned the place up, they worked very hard, and they didn't really need to be guarded very much. There was reports of glowing praise talking about how good they were. Quite quickly, a trial was held in which they pleaded guilty to carrying weapons around they shouldn't have been carrying, and smuggling and that sort of thing. And they ended up getting only 30 days in prison, and an 11-year-old boy had been released because they deemed him to be underage. If they had been sent back to Mexico, they most probably would have been executed as rebels. So what happened was actually quite a civilized, decent thing that happened. Usually you have the idea that when the Americans attack Indians, it's all barbarism and terrible and very one-sided. And here, it's almost the opposite. They did defeat them, and they killed one, but they were firing at them anyway. The Indians were firing at the soldiers. So, someone's firing at you, you fire back. Only one did die, and the rest of them were treated very well. They were given 3 meals a day, a warm place to sleep, and they even offered to join the army, Yaqui Indians. They were saying, we can join you and work for you. Now it was turned down because that might offend the Mexicans, but they were allowed to stay in the United States, and they weren't sent back to their deaths. So all in all, quite a good ending. Okay, so if you like these videos, come back tomorrow for more. Like, subscribe, and comment.